Hi, this is Sherry Veronica. It seems as though Billy Carson lost in a debate against this guy, Wes Huff, and he acted very poorly when he thought that he lost himself during the debate. In fact, many things that Billy Carson quote from, many texts and many books and many whatever else, he quotes from, this guy was there to say, Wes Huff was there to say, they're forgeries. They're known forgeries, and anyone who did their homework should have known there were forgeries and not quote from those particular texts as being something that is reliable. So he embarrassed Billy Carson, and outside of that, no one knew of this Wes Huff, and then he ended up on Joe Rogan. You know what happens when you end up on Joe Rogan. You go, you just blow up. So let me hear what's going on here.
That's also in the biblical text.
This is Billy Carson here.
Okay, that I would agree.
1 second.
Is a parallel. The only reason I highlight that is that if you're making this the argument, because if you brought it up, and I mean this with all due respect, there are superficial parallels. I would agree. The separation of the water, the concept of the earth being formless and void. That's also in the Enuma Elish. However, I think all the other details, it's the details that make the difference. And if we're looking at not the superficial crossovers, but the actual themes and concepts of what it's saying, you don't have a creation within 7 days. You don't.
I'm going to take the Enuma Elish and put it into the biblical text. There's certain words that they utilize that let me know that they copied it from that text. Like, for example,
so what words?
Separating the water from the waters, the void, the earth being void. That information is literally just copied over. So it tells you that somebody saw that and said, let me add it to this book right here. Or let me add it to the scripture or this papyrus, because it wasn't a book yet at that time.
He claims, Billy Carson claims that he was sick. He was 100 and such pounds, and that's his fallback thing, by the way. He always claims he's sick and he wasn't himself, and he threatened to sue this guy. He's threatening to sue what's his name, Wes Huff, and now he's apologizing to his forbidden community, his forbidden, the number forbidden. Okay, let me go back. When it first dropped, when this interview first dropped, he became embarrassed. Billy Carson became very embarrassed because he lost. When the guy is pointing out that a lot of things he's saying is hogwash, so he was embarrassed, and he says that he felt that he was under attack. His company was under attack. His community was under attack. And in saying all of that, he claimed that he has a private plane, he has a big house, and the people that are complaining about him, they're poor. It doesn't matter, they're poor. And then he turned around and apologized, saying he shouldn't have said what he said. Like, he reminded me of that guy, young Farah. It always ends the same for people that look like him. It always seems to end the same way, okay? That they are puffed up and put up, and then there's someone that's there to pull them down. You see it happening all the time. Let me hear a little bit of this.
Wes Huff finally dropped, and it has Billy Carson punching the air in frustration. If you guys haven't been keeping up with the
Okay, I want to see. I thought this was actually Joe Rogan's. It's someone else's channel, but yeah, he showed up on Joe Rogan. Let me see what he's saying here.
Errors that he's been repeating and turn this into a learning experience. I even offered to follow up with Billy in order to show him how and where he could find accurate and credible resources in order to make sure that what he was saying was verifiably correct going forward in the future, so he and his audience could learn and proceed knowledgeably. Billy did not agree, but unfortunately for Billy, agreeing to a debate, losing that debate, and feeling embarrassed about that loss does not constitute legitimate grounds to litigate. Billy, I will agree to all the terms and conditions of the cease and desist letter that you have sent me if you agree to run it back, sit down with me in person, and have another discussion. This is my formal response. Billy Carson is attempting to sue me. For those of you who don't know, I was invited to interact with Billy on a podcast that he agreed to come on. It was not his podcast, where he was notified beforehand who I was and what we'd be talking about. After that debate took place, Billy attempted to suppress the footage.
Okay, you got the gist of that, okay? So Billy Carson is totally embarrassed about how he performed. He said he was sick. And there's another instance where he says he almost died. He was so sick, pneumonia, he almost died. It's his fallback position when things are not going his way. But when he claimed to have a private plane and that he doesn't care about poor people, he should know that he got to where he is now because it's on the backs of poor people. It's on the backs of poor people subscribing to his channel, okay? So he made some monumental mistakes. I can't remember everything he said when he was in his ego, but it showed it's not just an ego, it was a dirty ego he has there. And he talks about the wife he has. She reminds me of Cardi B-ish, Cardi B-ish looking person. And, he talks about being attacked and everything. You will get attacked when you're taking the man's money, when you're taking people's money, when you have people's money, you have to open up yourself for that. You have to expect it. You have to expect that attacks are going to come because they don't want you to sit comfortably with their money. You can sit comfortably in slavery, but you cannot sit comfortably with their money, okay? So yeah, I just bring this to you because I actually wanted to talk about him, Billy Carson, before when he said that a vegan lifestyle almost killed him. I was going to give people the information as to all that bush that people eat, when they're trying to be, not eating meat and that kind of stuff. They eat a lot of lettuce and kale and whatever else. He was saying that it almost killed him. So you can always go and look for that particular video and see if you are having like stomach pains and you're feeling funny because you're eating a lot of bush because you're going to a vegan diet instead of something else. You can glean from what he has said that hurt his body, that hurt his intestines or whatever. You can glean from what he said, and maybe that's happening to you too, because he's saying that on certain leaves, the defense mechanism of certain foods is to put prickly stuff on the edges of the leaves or wherever prickly, and that prickly stuff that is used as a defense mechanism was actually sticking in his gut. It was sticking him, and it was puncturing his gut lining and that kind of stuff. So it was actually hurting him. So you can glean from that, okay? But yeah, in this particular interview with this particular guy, what's his name again? Wes Huff, WESHUFF, 2 words. Billy Carson lost the debate because what Wes did was to tell Billy a lot of pages that you're pulling from have been debunked. They're forgeries. And I always feel that from the time you open a book to quote from someone or to say something and try to sound all intelligent, you're going down the wrong road. What you should do is live a life. Live a life. Have experiences. Go and plant a garden and see how hard it is for certain things to grow, whereas some things just grow and multiply, and you can glean from your life. And if you have to read a book and compare, you can compare and say, yeah, I can see the thread that moves through my life, and this person saw the same thing, and you can kind of like compare, contrast, and you can they can embrace at some point, but not for you not to live a life and just be reading. Are you crazy? You're not going to live a life and pick up a book and just be reading. That doesn't make sense. You have to live a life, and then you compare it to what other people have discovered doing similar things that you are doing, and then you have you have more of a canvas to draw on. You have more of something to work with. But yeah, Billy Carson lost a debate, and he threatened to sue this guy. This guy was invited on his show, and he threatened to sue this guy. He probably threatened to sue him too if he released the full interview. And now he's apologizing to his community because he's talking about a yacht how much money he has, and how he doesn't need people, and how successful he is, and how nobody can challenge him because his work is solid, and you know he's the best in the industry and everything. You know, ego. And as you know or should know, the ego, it's not real. It's not real. It's an illusion that you sit yourself in, and you pretend that you're all that. It's the ego is actually demonic. It's actually Luciferian, and you have to watch that within yourselves. Okay, you have to watch that ego within yourselves. That's it for this. This is on Billy Carson and this guy Wes Huff. Billy Carson threatened to sue the guys because I think maybe both of them because he lost a debate, and it interfered with his platform. His entire platform could be jettisoned, could be demolished if what he is saying to people is being pulled from literature that has been debunked. People know that there are forgeries in life. You know, people know that history is revised. There are revisionists all over the place that just they need their history to sound good, and they put things in and they take things out. It's just the way the world works. You cannot pick up anything or go by anyone's word for anything. You have to live your life. You have to live the life that you're here to experience and live. You have to do that, okay? This is Sherry Veronica.
Help me spread the word about Naked Departure via social media. Subscribe and share to show support and love for our channels.